Hey guys, Robbie K back again with yet another movie review tonight. This time on the crazy and cult hit of Blackkklansman. For those of you who haven't seen the trailers for this, because either you don't subscribe to the cable, don't go to the movies that often, or for whatever other reason, the premise is that based on a true story of a very wild and very messed up time, you've got a messed up case, I guess I should say, better than a messed up time. A aspiring police force officer named Ron is the first African American to join the Colorado Springs Police Department. And in doing so, in a way that's kind of stake his claim, is willing to dive into a very hot topic of racism and segregation, primarily in the form of the Ku Klux Klan. In addition, being an African-American race, he's also checking in on a kind of African-American rising power group as well. And caught between two worlds, he and his partner, Adam Driver, are attempting to uncover some of the biggest secrets that were taking place in there in hopes of bringing justice and peace to the very, very place that they wanted to take care of. It looks interesting and kind of a coming-of-age / historical drama thriller that looked to have some pizzazz and some cojones with it. But, of course, we know that movies can sometimes be a little overhyped by the trailers, and that's where Robbie K comes in to kind of bring you another review. So sit back, relax, and, of course, just listen to me ramble for probably the next 10 minutes, and we'll get you covered. For those of you wanting the simplistic review, Blackkklansman actually turned out to kind of live up to at least the artistic portrayal that I think they were going for in this movie. Spike Lee rocked it in regards to bringing good political awareness with it. Brought out powerful acting to completely create believable characters, including a recreation of the setting of the time, and did a nice job of bringing what I would call a good miniseries drama onto the big screen. Now, of course, part of that is based on true events, a book that evidently came with it, but it was one heck of a mini drama story to kind of get you there for those who love like the historical crime political dramas. Spike Lee made some interesting choices in this, but we'll go into that in more of stage 2. But this is definitely not for one of those who was looking for more of the nice guys / a little more action flick to it, because it is definitely more of the political drama thriller than it is anything else. And while not the most suspenseful, it's definitely got a drier wit to it that's refreshing to see, and it was just a very well put together movie on many levels. So, is it worth a trip to the theater? It's a tough call to say. Looking for a good political movie that makes you think and kind of makes you re-look at the concepts that are very popular talk right now, definitely worth a trip. If you're looking for something that is very well artistically done, again, good choice. If you're looking for an entertaining film, though, probably want to hold out for this one until you get to it out on DVD / common streaming. Because otherwise this may not be up your alley unless, of course, you are a drama lover. Now, overall, that's essentially where we're at with stage 1. So peace on out before we get into stage 2. So, sorry, I had to kind of switch it up so that I didn't get too interrupted. When it comes to the stage 2 interview, if you've stuck around so far, let's look at kind of the likes and the dislikes of this movie, starting, of course, with the likes. As I mentioned in the stage 1, the artistic nature of this film is probably something people are going to absolutely love. The film is definitely a good portrayal and a good nod to what cinematography can do, bringing in fantastic direction, good dynamic kind of scanning, and mixing with the special effects that come with it is just a phenomenal recreation that really brings out kind of the heat and the emotions of the moment. But if that's not enough to kind of put it in, it's got a great soundtrack and sound editing that also kind of fires it up and brings you back into that time where things were very tense, people were very ornery, and these hot topics that have a little better control, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it, were able to come back with like the ferociousness and the feistiness of it. So, kudos to them on that. The setting itself really brings you back into the decades. So great job on the costume department, the hair and makeup, because they really did their job and hit it out of the park when it came to pulling us back into those decades where a lot of political turmoil was happening, primarily in the kind of segregation and trying to reintegrate the races on that. By far, you also got to give it up a mad kudos to the actors themselves, because again, another brilliant display of acting. Adam Driver and his various supporting group, and Adam Driver's the only one I can think of off the top of my head, did a great job pulling in their roles, and the two leads did their jobs well, kind of showing the dynamicness of both of them. Not overacted, but also not monotone. The guys managed to play their parts extremely well, and with it bring about a good, believable cast and crew that you absolutely had to really get into, because they were the heart and soul of the movie. Another like of it is bravo to them for making a good political thriller. I can't say that that it was the most thrilling one, but it's a good drama that I felt was very realistic, laid out a very good story, and gave you a lot of details, and enough details to actually bring with you a complete picture, a complete story, and not leave too many open ends. It's definitely going to be a little harsher for those, so if you're not liking aggressive writing and aggressive tones, yeah, you need to kind of brace yourself for what is to come. So that's kind of a warning more than a dislike/like, but it felt very reflective of the time. So you're going to get immersed into this if that's what you're looking for in this kind of historical crime thriller. Now, those are kind of the likes for it, in terms of what I can give it justice for it. Let's go into my dislikes. Well, the first thing is I'm not the biggest fan of aggressive language, and while not as bad as like Django Unchained, this movie definitely has enough insulting language to potentially get some people hot under the collar. Yeah, that's what the movie was designed to do, so you shouldn't be too surprised, but this is just a fair warning that if you're easily offended or hate that language, you need to stay away from this movie if the title itself didn't already do that for you. I mean, after all, Blackkklansman and KKK, kind of self-explanatory. The second thing is that sometimes the parts felt overacted, but I can't really state that's the case because of how politically fervor the certain groups can be with this. Again, I'm not saying that this is the most awful component that I've seen, but there are times where I felt it got a little out of hand in terms of the fervor or the idiotic stereotypes that they kind of painted some of the people in. That's a small dislike, but, it's something to kind of bring out with. In addition, some of the things that came with it was the pace was not my particular cup of tea. Again, I guess I was expecting more of that action component like I thought I was going to get. But this is a much slower-based movie, and while it did a great job building up, showing the lives and the dynamic, I didn't quite get as suspended in suspense as some of my fellow audience members did. Nor was I as thoroughly entertained with it. This was, again, a good reflection movie and a good way to kind of review your morals, but at the same time, it's not the most entertaining film to kind of grace the silver screen this summer. And perhaps my biggest dislike more so comes with kind of the way it ended. I felt that it was ending just right, and then like Lord of the Rings, it kind of took it one step too far. Now, before people get mad, before people call me insensitive, or before people call me an emotionless robot, hear me out. The way that the ending did it, I totally nod them for tribute and kind of showing that even though these men did some great work, it makes a good reflection of where it is in the modern times, as well as pays tribute to some of those fallen heroes, as well as the horror of some recent events that can potentially potentiate it. But to go from kind of the past to suddenly a lot into the future, it kind of just felt off. And while again I admire the tribute component to it, as a movie component, I can't say that was the best direction for me, because it just felt like it was the extra last minute throw on there, despite the symbology that it represents. I just felt it was kind of out of place. Again, no disrespect to any of that involved, but that's just my take on it. Anyway, let's kind of wrap this up. BlackkKklansman is actually a phenomenal movie if you're looking for artistic, sort of historical drama with a good kind of crime thriller component into it. Great acting, great sets, and great cinematography really immerse you in the world. And that's what you get props for. However, this is not for those that don't like to hear very aggressive dialogue in regards to cursing and slander. And even more so, it is definitely not in for those who are looking for more an engaging plot that's more entertainment, bing bang, instead of having to really pay attention. Anyway, BlackkKklansman for its genre probably gets about an 8, maybe an 8.5, just because of its immersion. In regards to the movie overall, I'd probably put it at about a 6.5, maybe a 7 at the highest. But that's just because I guess I felt that it needed a little more entertaining oomph and less drama for me. But hey, that's the times. It's an impressive feat. So bravo to them for doing it. Anyway, guys, that's the last of the reviews this week. We got 3 more next week. So in the meantime, hit me up with any comments, any ways to make this better, and any way that I can do to just kind of address some movies you want to hear. Until then, guys, Robbie K. peacing out. Thank you so much for listening to my rambling. And again, if you prefer writing or just don't want to hear my voice and want to read to your own extent, it will be up on my other review in just a few minutes or an hour, depending on how long it takes me to write. Good night, good luck, and have a good weekend. Bye.